Good afternoon, class. I'm Alex, Chris, and Renee. We're doing our project on osteoporosis and calcium deficiency. Our title is No Bones About It. Alright, calcium deficiency is when you lack the adequate amount of the vital mineral calcium. It's essential for healthy bones and teeth in a growing human and as well as all species of animals. Osteoporosis means porous bone. It's like spongy bone that your solid bone turns into. It gradually thins and weakens and becomes more susceptible to fractures. Calcium is key for building new bone, and bone development occurs every day of your life. The pace of losing and growing bone differs depending on your age. And since calcium isn't produced by your body, it's very important to take the necessary nutrition and supplements to get the calcium. What is calcium? Calcium is a mineral and is the body's most abundant mineral in the body. It's found in food or ingested as a supplement. 99% of body calcium supply is inside bone and teeth. 1% is needed to help support vascular contraction, vasodilation, muscle function, nerve transmission, and normal secretion. This video doesn't work particularly, so let's skip that one. Where can you get calcium? You can get it from dairy products, fruits and vegetables, meats, and other substitutes. Substitutes being like tofu, but normally you want to get from canned sardines or salmon, your green leafy vegetables like broccoli, spinach, kale. And then dairy products, low-fat yogurt. Low-fat, any dairy is usually where you're going to get it from. Next one. Oh, and you have to have about, for young people, it's about 1,000 milligrams. But when you pass the age 40 mark, it's about 1,200 milligrams. Osteoporosis. This is the normal bone. And when it becomes osteoporotic, you can see all the spaces. And it kind of resembles spongy bone in that factor because there's just so much open space for it. And it's similar to a honeycomb if you want to go with that as well. Next one, please.
Okay, osteoporosis is a common feature of aging. It can be inevitable for some. However, calcium deficiency can also cause osteoporosis at a much faster rate due to losses of calcium via bowel, kidney, and skin. There are two types of osteoporosis. We have the primary and the secondary form. Type 1 or postmenopausal osteoporosis occurs in 5 to 20% of women, affecting those within 15 to 20 years post-menopause. With a peak in the 60s and early 70s. The incidence in women is 8 times higher than in men. Women can lose 2 to 3% of their bone per year for the first 5 years following menopause. Because of the drop in estrogen production, women lose nearly 50% of their trabecular bone and 35% of their cortical bone throughout their lifetime, whereas men only lose a mere 25%. Type 2, aka senile osteoporosis, occurs in women or men for more than 70 years normally. And it's usually associated with decreased bone formation. The vitamin D deficiency results in decreased calcium absorption, which increases the PTH level and therefore bone resorption. In type 2 osteoporosis, cortical and trabecular bone is lost, primarily leading to increased hip, long bone, and vertebral fracture. The next one, okay. Early signs of osteoporosis. There are typically no signs in the early stages of bone loss, but once bones have been weakened by osteoporosis, you may have signs and symptoms that include back pain, caused by fractured or collapsed vertebra, loss of height over time, a stooped posture, a bone fracture that occurs much more easily than expected. Next one. Okay, who and where? Many risk factors can lead to bone loss and osteoporosis. Some of the things you cannot change, while others you can help to prevent yourself from getting osteoporosis. Some risk factors include gender, as women do get osteoporosis more often than men. Age, the older you are, the greater risk of osteoporosis. Body size, Small, thin women are at greater risk of getting osteoporosis. Ethnicity, white and Asian women are at highest risk, while Black and Hispanic women have a lower risk. Family history, osteoporosis tends to run in the family. The top geographical locations with the most prevalent cases of osteoporosis are the US, China, Hong Kong, Iran, Japan, Kuwait, and Singapore.
This is the campaign image for Break Free from Osteoporosis. Break Free from Osteoporosis is a new campaign awareness that started, it's every May, the month of May for every year. And basically what it does is it encourages the public to be more aware of it, of the disease. It encourages to get twice a year BMD test, bone mineral density test, and being able to play your part, learn more about the disease and so forth. Prevention of osteoporosis. There are a lot of different ways to prevent it. Of course, one being having a high calcium rich diet, a lot of foods, leafy greens, cereals, yogurts, those are high in calcium. And because today we have such a lack of calcium, supplements are encouraged. You may see commercials for like Calcitrate and different calcium plus vitamin D. So those are different ways to prevent osteoporosis. Next. 8 ways to prevent osteoporosis. Avoid drinking alcohol. What that does is it reduces the calcium, the serum calcium level. Avoid smoking or use of tobacco. It reduces blood calcium. Avoid use of steroidal drugs, which decreases serum calcium level. Get serum calcium, which is available in most labs. You may ask your pharmacist about that, but it is the amount of calcium that's needed in blood. If your serum calcium is low, the blood takes calcium from bones, which is called bone resorption, which leads to osteoporosis. Drink milk every day, recommended 8 ounces milk a day. Take calcium-rich food, like I suggested before, almonds, figs, and beans are some other examples. Go out daily walks, get a little vitamin D, and get your BMD test yearly. Next. All right, some fun facts about osteoporosis. Spinal fractures are the most common. The National Osteoporosis Foundation estimates that osteoporosis is responsible for more than 2 million fractures a year. Now, aside from spinal fractures, the most common osteoporosis-related fracture are wrist fractures. Where the commercial, oh, I fall and I can't get up. That's for the osteoporosis. A couple of other facts is it is known that women who regularly drink beer have stronger bones than women who don't. So a lot of beer drinking women. A couple of other facts. Let's see. The word osteoporosis actually comes from a Greek word osteon, meaning bone, and porous, meaning a pore or a passage. Astronauts, here's another fact, astronauts are at risk for developing osteoporosis because of their prolonged weightlessness. Gravity is essential for strong bones. Now, I want to move into something else. Click on that one. Okay. Is that that? Yes. Do that.
This is just going to be a summary of osteoporosis.
The bones are important components which leverage and provide support to the human body. They are composed of calcium, phosphorus, and magnesium. Bones generally hold 99% of the body's calcium. Osteoporosis, or porous bone, is characterized by low bone mass and structural deterioration of bone tissue, which leads to bone fragility and increased susceptibility to fractures of the hip, spine, and wrist. 2 essential cells are involved in the daily turnover of the bone: osteoblast cells and osteoclast cells. Overactivity of the osteoclast cells leads to osteoporosis. There are 2 types of osteoporosis: primary and secondary osteoporosis. Primary osteoporosis is in turn divided into type 1 and type 2. Symptoms of osteoporosis are swelling and joint pain, fracture, disfigurement, and debilitation, and kyphosis. Osteoporosis can be diagnosed by bone densitometry, ultrasound, and by quantitative computed tomography. Osteoporosis can be treated by changes in lifestyle, like quitting smoking, regular exercise, a balanced diet, and by taking medications such as estrogen replacement therapy, biphosphonates, alendronate and risidronate, or synthetic calcitonin or parathyroid hormone supplements.
Any questions so far? All right, good. Since you guys look like you're sleeping, I'm gonna give you a quick, well, everyone has a bingo sheet, I think 2 15 minutes.
Who doesn't have the handouts?
We're gonna have a little bone bingo, wake you guys up for your next presentations.
Who else didn't get one? Anybody else?
Alright, you have these 2 sheets, bone bingo and the quiz. If you do the quiz now, we're timing it.
Yeah.
Winner gets the first prize. It's calcium stuff.
If you pay attention.
Sorry, hang on. Don't start yet. All right, begin.
All right, let's start now.
You can also read the questions, so.
Okay.
What is osteoporosis?
You guys better know that. That is our different times.
Well, it's underneath your bingo sheet.
You're finished?
Oh, you have to finish all of them?
I'll quiz, see if you're paying attention.
Once you're done, raise your hand, and we'll grade it.
But it is your classes.
Anybody finished? All finished? Oh, let's see. Time.
One of you can start reading the questions and giving the correct answers. If,
Yeah, I can do that.
So number 1, what is osteoporosis? The letter is B. Where does the body take the calcium from? Number 2 is C. Correct, inside the bone. The types of osteoporosis are
1 and 2.
3 is B, 1 and 2. Number 4, what country has the highest rate of osteoporosis? U.S. C. Okay, number 5. Blank are the most common type of bone breakage as a result of osteoporosis. Number 5 is C. Okay, number 6, NOF stands for what? D, National Osteoporosis Foundation. Number 7, at what age do women normally experience osteoporosis? That is C, 50 to 70. With respect to women, which race has the highest osteoporosis rates? Number 8 is A, Caucasian woman. Number 9, how many milligrams of calcium should you have a day? That is A, 1,200 milligrams. The last one, 10. A blank is when the radius breaks and the wrist joint is displaced backwards. And that is B. Okay? So
All right, so you both got one wrong, so we're gonna figure out how to
Wow.
do two. Close call.
tiebreaker?
Who got it?
Tiebreaker.
Oh, Did you bring your cup also? Did you bring? Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna-
Shortly after the bingo, right?
Can you incorporate it in your talk? Can you incorporate it in your talk? Like who you're gonna practice on?
You ready? So what you'll do is if I call the word, you'll mark it off. You know how bingo goes. Diagonal. You never play bingo? I'll give you the rules. Anybody else ever play bingo? All right, so your goal is to win bingo. First one to get any line up, down, left, right, or diagonally. First to get all four corners, and first to get 2 diagonal lines through the middle, like an X. All right, or to get a blackout, you know, all squares. All right, so as I call them out, you mark it off. You gotta say bone bingo. If you say bingo, you gotta win it. You say bone bingo. So 2 people calling out, one says bingo, one says bone bingo. Guess who wins? Bone bingo. All right, you guys ready? Yes, honey. Yes. Which part? How to win? Okay. So I'm gonna randomly pull those words that are in the sheet, okay? And then when I call it off, you mark it. If you see that on your bingo card, you mark it off. Okay. If you see if you make a like diagonal line or horizontal, left, right, you mark them off. Then first one to get a straight line, bingo. Okay. Yeah? Okay. All right. First one is calcium. Calcium. Second one is alcohol. Next one is, it's like being white, bone density. I'm laughing at my jokes. I don't want my gift. Next one is weak and brittle. Next one is porous. Porous.
What is that?
Porous. Next one is exercise.
One bingo, I think, that's what you said?
Long bingo, let's see. Listen really quick. No. Both already, all right. Let's see. Next one is women. Women. Next one is estrogen. Estrogen. Next one is frax. F-R-A-X, frax. Frax? Yes. Not related to frax. Okay, next one is smoking.
Bingo.
Wait, you gotta say what? Say what?
Bone bingo.
Did you say bone before? She did. Oh, no, bone you mean? No. I said bone density. Age. The next one is age.
One bingo.
You got bone bingo! Take your prize. Let's see those.
What if you have bingo and no votes?
Alright. There you go. Have fun. Thank you. Thanks for playing. Come on again. So, you guys, so remember, sticks and stones may break my bones, but lack of calcium sure will.
And who won the
third one.
I gave it to her.
oh, bravo. Okay. Group 2, introduce yourselves. Let's give them a hand. So class, you see how the titles are, right? No bones about it. Here's another one, group 2, unknown truth. Go ahead, group.
Alright, we are group 2. I am Charles. This is
Cynthia.
Our topic is about sports drinks and scurvy. So we chose what do they call it, unknown truth. So we're gonna talk about the sports drinks first. Sports drinks are beverages that are specially formulated to help people hydrate during or after exercise. Usually rich in carbohydrates, the most efficient source of energy, as well as carbs, which are important in maintaining exercise and sport performance. Sports drinks usually contain sweeteners and preservatives. Sports drinks contain electrolytes, chloride, calcium, magnesium, and sodium, and potassium. And there are 3 main types of sports drinks. The first one is isotonic, the second one is hypertonic, and the third one is hypotonic. So the first one contains similar concentration of salt and sugar as in the human body. And it quickly replaces fluids, lost food sweating, and supplies a boost of carbohydrate. The hypertonic contains a higher concentration of salt and sugar than the human body. And it quickly replaces fluids lost by sweating. Hypotonic contains a lower concentration of salt and sugar than the human body. Normally, it consumed post-workout to supplement daily carbohydrate intake and top up muscle glycogen stores.
The list of sport drinks. We have Gatorade, Powerade, vitamin water, and Coke. Controversy surrounding sport drinks. A concern with sport drinks is that they deliver unneeded calories, the equivalent of 10 teaspoons of sugar. An assistant professor of pediatrics of Harvard Medical School, as for adult Tim Knox, professor of exercise and sports science at the University of Cape Town in South Africa, told the BMJ, far from turning casual runner into Olympic athletes. If they avoided the sport drink, they will get thinner and run faster. Made from improving sport drinks. Mix creatine with sport drinks. Creatine is a chemical that is normally found in the body, mostly in muscle. It is made by the body and can also be obtained from certain foods. Fish and meat are good source of creatine. Most commonly used for improving exercise performance and increasing muscle mass in athletes and older adults. There is some science supporting the use of creatine in improving the athletic performance of young, healthy people during brief and high-intensity activities such as sprinting. Possibly effective for improving the athletic performance of young, healthy people during brief, high-intensity exercise such as sprinting. Parkinson's disease. Creatine may slow the worsening of some symptoms in people with early Parkinson's disease. Increasing strength and endurance in people with heart failure. Increasing strength in people with muscle disease such as muscular dystrophy. Slowing loss of sight in an eye disease called gyrate atrophy. Improving symptoms of a muscle disease called Morgau disease. I hope I said that right. If you do choose to mix creatine with a sport drink, use a powder sport drink mix combined with water. This will allow you to use the sugar that are in the mix without some of the other ingredients found in bottled sport drinks. History.
This talks about like a history in football, about Gatorade, like how important Gatorade is to drink after the game or during the game. That and that's the bibliography. Like if you want to go in a website to have like more info about it. And we have a video that talks about the like when you have to drink the Gatorade, how strong it makes you. Like let's take a good look at the video. Yeah, it was just telling you how great you get when you just drink a Gatorade and how strong you are. And next we're just going to talk about the scurvy, and Jared is going to talk about that.
Alright, so we're talking about scurvy. So basically, scurvy is a disease that occurs when you have a severe lack of vitamin C in your diet. Scurvy causes general weakness, anemia, gum disease, and skin herpes. It's very rare. It occurs in some patients, usually elderly people, alcoholics, and those that live on a diet devoid of fresh fruits and vegetables. Similarly, infants or children who are on special or poor diets for any number of economic or social reasons may be prone to scurvy. What are the signs and symptoms of scurvy? The signs and symptoms: loss of appetite, poor weight gain, diarrhea, rapid breathing, fever, discomfort in legs, and bleeding. Effects of the condition of the body: bleeding in the gums, loosening teeth, bleeding in the eyes, bleeding of the cartilage between joints, and skin disorders. Where in the world this condition is prevalent and why? What groups of people is most affected? Often seen in sailors on long ocean voyages described from the 15th century onwards. It is thought that scurvy occurs very rarely in modern societies of today, as most people are access to year-round fresh fruits and vegetables which are a rich source of vitamin C. How is scurvy treated? Scurvy is treated by providing the patient with vitamin C, administered either orally or via injection. How can scurvy be prevented? Scurvy can be prevented by treated by consuming enough vitamin C either in the diet or as a supplement. For example, oranges, lemons, strawberries, carrots, cabbage, and tomatoes. In the history, scurvy is an ancient disease. Egyptians recorded its symptoms as early as 1550 BC. Scurvy
Okay, good job. So Sheldon? 5 minutes, Sheldon?
Okay.
Sheldon's,
Yeah,
and then Fiorella, after Sheldon, Sheldon, then Fiorella, then Anthony, and then Marcia. And then who's after that? Joyce? Wait. And then Michelle and, so just go in there.
I want to have my own presentation, but remember you said I'm not in a group. Okay.
Sheldon, Morris, obviously. I had to do the task of 3D printing. So therefore, what I did was I'm going to give a brief history. I'm going to tell you the two basic forms of 3D printing, and just dive right into like bioprinting, which is very interesting. So in the early 1990s, MIT developed a procedure. As far as and the interesting thing is the 3D system headquarters, 3D systems. MIT basically laid the groundwork, but 3D systems, I feel after doing my research, I think 3D systems are really taking it to the next level as far as coming up with new technology and implementing new strategies and just breaking through on that market. The first form I'd like to talk about is binder direct printing, which has, it starts out with a first 2D where it's an ink, but instead of the ink, they're using a heavy wax. It's like you said here with a thick wax and a plastic polymer, which solidifies the actual object within which you're trying to print. So, as you guys see the skull in the beginning, that was like a good example there. Basically, it's a wax with a polymer mixed thing. It's pretty awesome. Forms of 3D. Another form is the photopolymerization and sintering. 3D printing technology where drops of liquid plastic are exposed to a laser beam and ultraviolet rays, during which the exposure lights a liquid into a solid. Photo meaning light, polymers, or the chemical composition. 3D bioprinting. That's one I want to touch on next. So for years they had success as far as developing small cells in laboratories. I saw a couple of videos, which is it's not uploaded on this link here, where they're using petri dishes, and they start off with just like basic just a basic petri dish, and they're able to just build these small cells into whatever cell you want in the body, exactly, precisely. But the challenges are coming with the actual organs, like building live organs, vascular organs, all that. I'll touch on it more. So that's what they're aiming towards, as far as 3D printing an actual organ, in which you don't have to wait anymore. As far as you could, if you're in need of a heart, you can go ahead and they'll pretty much bioprint the whole heart process for you. The whole heart, and you just implement it.
It works.
And that's pretty much my references. Any questions? Go ahead.
You said that they're able to make organs for transplants. Do they work?
It's in some aspect it's functional, but I think where they're coming they're having a problem with like actually putting it in the body. I was reading this article where the lady had the front part of the skull was 3D printed, but the substance, I guess that held up actually. Well, it was functional. That part was functional, but as far as the organs involved, they're having a hard time with the actual organs, like getting the heart 3D printing.
They actually are doing this now. I had a student last semester in the Organic 2 Chemistry lab, her cousin at Harvard Medical School. They were actually printing tissues. And to replace cartilage in the knee, because she happened to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
And another student talked about they were actually able to replace the trachea. And so I really thank Sheldon for being such a sport.
Yeah.
And at first, he said, "Are you sure it really works?" And I said,
I was like, that was my number one question also, is it functional?
Exactly.
And I was like, wow, let's do some research on that, find out if it's...
And so this actually will revolutionize technology, medicine.
Yeah. Can you imagine not having to wait for a heart?
And especially kidneys and Wake Forest. There's Dr. Alvarez. He's actually printing 3D kidneys for patients that will be dying without because there are no transplants available, so they sign up for it.
Well, students at UCS just did an arm for a little boy.
Yes, exactly. So some of you may have seen snippets of it, right?
How long will you live with something?
The technology is rapidly changing. So this was I just wanted you, as it's our last presentation, just to spark your interest in really pursuing your dream and being creative and innovative. Okay, good job. So. Yeah, for those that need to distribute their handouts, for those that have any other handouts for the group presentations, go ahead and hand them out so that, because we're pressed for time. Oh. Thank you. So, you go so after them, Stanley, and then you guys.
I think it's better with the light on. Yeah, it's better with the light on. Yeah, so we can see the board, everything. Yeah, it's better.
Oh, yes. That was video.
They're gonna demonstrate something and they have a word.
Yeah, he was the only one that did it. Everyone has.
Just gave way. We're just going to go back. They want to go for Yeah, I switched with them to the last because I don't want to leave people to privacy.
signatures. So my partner's gonna go first and then you're gonna go. Thank you. And if you guys don't have plans for the papers, I decided to take my plan.
Are we doing,
Unless you want to study. Yeah, just have another group. If you want to study. Oh, no, we're good. If not, it's okay.
you want to do that?
Yeah.
Did you find yourself? She went out.
Me neither. That's what I was looking for.
That's good. Why do you need to see for?
No, I thought like, why I'm shocked, you know what I mean? Usually you see that portion. But no, okay, that's good.
Yeah. Oh, you have
Let me see it, bring it. It's his phone. Can I see it? No, can I see it?
No.
Anthony, you want to? Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, great, thank you.
Front and back.
Let me see.
Yeah, come on. There's a lot of space.
It's you, right? Me too? Yeah. Let's see what you have in mind. Okay. Here's two.
Okay, no, make it work. Okay, wait, I know where to go. Okay, you guys go. You fixed it, so they're gonna go and then we'll.
Oh, good. You found it, huh?
Yeah, I was looking at
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Jennifer. This is, and our project is about alcohol functional group and iron deficiency anemia. We displayed a few items that you can see probably every day at home that contain alcohol. We're also going to pass out gum, so help yourself. It contains sorbitol, which is a sugar alcohol.
Okay. So share. Take one out and pass it along. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about alcohol. Like I said, the history, iron deficiency anemia, types of symptoms, the history of that anemia also. As we've learned in class, this is what your alcohol looks like. It's a hydroxyl group connected to a molecule. These are examples that we probably saw in class. Thank you. Primary, tertiary, secondary alcohols. This is a little bit of how these items are made. So once these items are when fermentation occurs, this is the final product, and we have a lot of these items up here. So like the vinegar, wine, or alcohol, hairspray, cheese, soy sauce. More examples. So alcoholic beverages, antifreeze, antiseptics, fuels, and preservatives. I sold some antiseptics from work, so those are up here. And alcohol and patient care. So like I said, I stole it from work. So this is what we have in every room, in every patient room. Before you come in, when you come in and when you come out, you have this work. So it contains ethyl alcohol, okay? And then also we have a barrier spray that also contains ethyl alcohol. Also alcohol and also antiseptic wipes. Okay. Angelica's going to talk a little bit about foods that we eat.
Okay. We found this at home, vinegar, which we cook with. Balsamic used for our dressing salads. Some of the drink might also have alcohol, and we use it as a drink. We use it implemented in food. For example, red wine contains ethanol, which can lower your cholesterol and increase the level of the good cholesterol, which is known for HDL cholesterol. Also, drinking 1 glass of wine every day can boost your brain power. Don't abuse, just 1 glass. Vinegar consists of acetic acid and water. Have no protein, no fat. Have a little bit of vitamins and minerals, not much. It can help you blood sugar levels. It can also help you with the digestive system. Helps reduce overall calorie intake, which can help you maintain a good weight. So if you're on a diet, you can drink vinegar. Also, the balsamic vinegar contains vitamins, minerals, and also reduce your cholesterol levels. We also find out that vanilla extract also contains alcohol. It's not so good, but it has no cholesterol, it's low in sodium, and it contains water and alcohol as well. Let's see. That's it, pretty much.
So, like any other nutrient in the diet, the alcohol must be balanced. And when there is too much of alcohol, it can lead to vitamin and mineral deficiency. It can also damage organs such as the liver.
These are some of the benefits of consuming alcohol.
Yes. Like any other thing, alcohol has its benefits. It can lower the risk of cardiovascular disease. It can lengthen your life, improve your libido. It can help prevent against the common cold. It can decrease the chances of developing dementia. It can also reduce the risk of gallstones. It can lower the chance of diabetes. What is
a little bit about the history.
Okay, yeah, go on. Go back to the benefits.
Okay.
All right, talking about the benefits. We do benefit somewhat from alcohol, but it is said that we should use it in moderation. So I know a lot of people would be saying, what is using alcohol in moderation? What is moderation? So I just want to read something real quickly. Okay, so that drinking in moderation is described by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism as a man consuming 2 drinks a day, or 14 per week on an average. Also, women, 1 drink per day, or 7 average per week. So, what is 1 drink? What is 2 drink? Okay, 1 drink is considered like a 12-ounce can or a bottle of regular beer. Also, like a 5-ounce glass of wine is considered 1 drink. Okay, that's what I'm passing on this information. The drinking of the alcohol also has to do with the size and the weight of a person. That is very important when consuming alcohol. Also, the age. A younger person will tend to metabolize the alcohol much faster than an older person. Also, the amount of alcohol that you consume also depends on how fast it is metabolized by the liver. Also, the presence of other food. When there is presence of food, the liver have to work much harder to metabolize the alcohol. So it takes a much longer time for it to come out of your body. Okay, so I just really want to pass on those information. Okay, we're going to go a bit on the history. It said that grain have been fermented over thousands of years. Fermented beverage exists in the early Egyptian civilization. There is evidence of an early alcohol drink in China around 7000 BC. In India, there was an alcohol beverage named Sura, S-U-R-A. That was in the 3000 BC. That's way, way back. Also, the Babylonian, they worship a wine goddess as early as 2700 BC.
Okay, so that's pretty much alcohol. Next on the agenda is iron deficiency anemia.
Iron deficiency anemia is a common type of anemia which the condition of the body does not have enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen to the body tissue. Low levels of iron in the body may be caused by excess blood loss, inadequate iron intake, and or inability to absorb iron. We have a picture. This is the normal of a red blood cell, and one which is anemic amount of red blood cells.
The signs and symptoms in the body when a patient suffers from anemia, it depends on how severe it is. If you have mild, it will not show no symptoms or signs. But if you have mild to severe, you will see people with a pale skin, their nails will break, there will be cold hands, cold feet. Also will be very tired, will suffer a lot of fatigue. It's because your body doesn't have enough blood cells to carry around the oxygen to many parts of your body. Also suffer from shortness of breath, dizziness, headaches, chest pain. Sometimes also can cause heart failure and you can die.
The diagram here kind of shows like where anemia affects and what organ what happens when it affects that organ. Prevalent? Yeah, the prevalence in the population and in the area of where it is more prevalent. So this is a map I found online, and it just shows like the areas that are most prevalent. Of course, it's industrialized versus industrialized countries, and Africa for sure has the most prevalence in it. The population has the highest the population there has the highest amount of anemia, and also all the way east. Treatment and prevention. there's, you know, your diet, you can supplement pretty much anything with your diet and it'll prevent you from having anemia. We actually have a little tablet up here, which is furosemide, which is something that you can take daily to prevent anemia. If you have low blood counts for whatever reason, your diet, you know, if you're vegetarian, you don't get that animal protein as much, which will actually sometimes cause you to have anemia. And it's usually the red meat that will provide you with the iron that you need. So you can supplement with lentils, cereals, dark leafy vegetables, if everybody's into that whole juicing thing. You know, kale has tons of iron in it. But like I said, it could be controlled by your diet. When it comes to worst cases, pretty much when you have like a lot of the older population will have like GI bleeds and things like that, that will cause you to have transfusions. And then that's how you can supplement that also. We found this about Popeye. He always has spinach. And it just has, you know, like I said, the facts of things that have high iron content. Health awareness, if you ever get your CBC, your complete blood count, you know what numbers to look for. And usually when you go for physicals, they'll tell you, like your red blood cells are kind of low, or your hemoglobin is kind of low. So these are like what the percentages are needed for everybody. Normally in an adult, your hemoglobin should be 3.5 to 17.5 in men and 12 to 15.5 in women. Our sources. Any questions?
Yes. Lucky, you were talking about alcohol. How much alcohol do you have to consume? Since you said alcohol are healthy, so how much you have to drink?
Yeah, that's what I was saying here. Remember, I told you about moderation.
I know some people who drink something
Yeah, but remember, I was talking about the moderation.
Yeah.
The benefits has to do with the moderation. It depends on how you drink the amount. That's why I was reading.
He said women was 1 drink a day, and men is 2 drinks a day.
2 drinks, right. And this all has to do with moderation.
That's exactly that point.
By the way, I would like to add something that excessive alcohol drinking from pregnant women is very dangerous. It can lead to FAS, which is fatal alcohol syndrome.
Can we get another group to go? But we have 3 or 4 other groups ready to present, right? So the next group, go ahead. Really love these displays and the concepts that you showed. Pretty good. Everyone has creative ideas, and you've shown it tonight. The next Remember now, when we post this on YouTube, right?
Just we can do. But what's happening to comments under?
Is there a group that can present?
We have ours now.
You have yours?
Yeah.
You have yours? Okay. You have yours? Okay.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Rosalie and Michelle. And we just decided to follow up because it kind of clashes with the iron that I did. and iron deficiency. Okay. As you can see, iron is one of the metals that we have been taught about in class, and for centuries it was very well used. So as you can see, there was actually an age called the Iron Age. We also learned about the symbol and the number, atomic number 26, the mass number. Okay. We know that everybody uses iron in some form or way. The iron that we see as that we use to build different things, automobile, many things that are around us are actually used. They use that from the raw material is iron. The iron deficiency I'll talk about it after. And this is iron in its pure form, a piece of iron. Metallic iron. And that's another composition of iron that they make something. Okay, the iron as a trace mineral, that's what the other group was talking about, the iron that we actually take. And this is the food group that we're supposed to eat from the bottom going up. My studies show that lean meat and a lot of green vegetable, leafy vegetable, is what we're supposed to, if you're iron deficiency, you're supposed to try to get as much as those as possible in your diet. And as the other group also say, if you're iron deficiency, you tend to be very fatigued, feel really, really tired. Treatments of iron deficiency anemia is easy if you can catch it early. So your medical doctor will probably tell you to take like an iron supplement. Or if you have taken too much iron, then that can cause your stomach pain, very bad stomach pain. And in people that like leave iron pills around, for smaller children, if they ingest it, then they could actually die from that. Okay, and my studies show that men need less iron than women. Pregnant women need much, much more because they are actually carrying the baby. They need like double amount. Okay, that was my reference. This one will talk about the diabetes.
If you notice the background, the orange color, I remember when I was smaller, my mother was diagnosed with diabetes. She used to use the dipstick to test her urine. Whenever times they come up with this color, she always says, oh, sugar is so high, you know. Okay, what is diabetes? Diabetes is one of the fastest growing long-term disease affecting the population of the world. In the UK, there are over 2 million people that have diabetes, and 750,000 don't even know that they have it. In the United States alone, there are 25.8 million people with diabetes, and 7 million does not know that they have it. Diabetes is a condition where the body fails to utilize ingested glucose. Diabetes is also shortened for diabetes mellitus, and it's a Greek name passing to the Latin name honey or sweet. The main symptom of diabetes: polyuria, which is excess urination; polyphagia, hungry, always hungry; and polydipsia, intensive thirst. And this is a picture with a lady. She having all three at the same time. She's thirsty, she's running to the bathroom, and she have her bag with whatever she had, food to eat. There are three different types of diabetes. You have type 1 diabetes, which count for 10 to 15% in the United States. Generally, people from birth to about 40, they all have type 1. Type 2 by diabetes, 90-95% from 40 and up. And also gestational diabetes, with a person pregnant, eventually just have diabetes, and nobody knows why, but after they have the baby, it goes away, and those people tend to have larger size babies. How diabetes affect your health? The lack of glucose available in the muscles and the adipose tissue. So because the body needs the glucose, it turns to the fat, and then it starts to use the fat as energy. It starts to synthesize the fat as energy, and you have ketones start to build up in the body. That means you're not using carbs, you're using the fat, so you have ketones start to build up, accumulate. Some will pass in the urine, and some will continue accumulating in the blood and in the liver until you end up with acidosis. This is an example of a normal, this is like a person that does not have diabetes. If you notice, the blue is the glucose and the yellow is the insulin. What happened is the yellow, the insulin has to unlock the cell for the glucose to get in. So this is what happened normally. The insulin unlocks the cell so that the glucose don't get in. So you get energy. With a person with diabetes, it doesn't happen like that, because it's like you would say the glucose is the key. The insulin is the key to unlock the cell for the glucose. In the person with diabetes, it doesn't happen like that, because these receptors are not working right. So what happened? The glucose just flow over into the blood, so you have high blood sugar. And how to control and monitor diabetes? You have to test your blood like every day. My mother usually take it in the morning, and medication, maintenance. And this is like complication. People have poor circulation in their feet from diabetes. And that can lead to gangrene. And see the gangrene, this is the ulcer, and this is the gangrene, so they have to amputate. And this is the history of diabetes. Press it again. Diabetes is dated back from 1500 BC, where healers find that when people urinate, their hands would in the urine, and in 200 AD, Greek physician, the people were urinating a lot, and they were losing a lot of weight, and they didn't know where it come, why, so they call it. And these are just some history. Yeah, these are just some history of diabetes that I have. Did you know? People, they used to have people starvation diet, put them on the starvation diet. That's my conclusion. So who's going next after your group, right? Okay. It is Monday. You have a poster board? Kirilla, you have a poster board?
Yes. That's fine.
I thought I would. We're probably put it up here.
Okay. And then we'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm Fiorella. This is
for you.
No, it's fine. We'll get to it. Thank you.
I'm Martha. This is Natalie, and this is Maurice.
And our presentation is called America's Deadly Killer. We focus on fats and obesity. We'll start with saturated fats. They were considered healthy in the 1900s. Prior to 1920s, heart disease caused no more than 10% of all deaths in the States, and now it's more than 30%. The picture shows 5 pounds of fat compared to 5 pounds of muscle, which is really disgusting. Thanks. Trans fat is also known as hydrogenation. It became a hit with consumers and manufacturers in the early 20th century. It allows for a longer shelf life, and it gives food more of a tempting taste. This is an example of trans fat used in Crisco. I'm sure we've all seen it on the shelf or in the kitchen making fried chicken. In 1957, the American Heart Association first proposed that reducing dietary fats, namely saturated fats, found in foods like butter and beef, like a Big Mac, can reduce the chance of getting heart disease. 2006, the labeling of trans fat was mandatory here in the States, which is pretty recent. It was just less than 10 years ago. Quality saturated fats may enhance the immune system, and they also protect the liver from toxic effects of alcohol and certain drugs. This is just a little bit of information as far as the good fats versus the bad fats. I won't go through all of them, but some good fats are like avocados, nuts, soy milk, and fatty fish like salmon. And some bad fats are vegetable shortening, candy bars, and butter, and cheese.
Okay, as we know, our bodies need carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins. Now here I'm showing you a diagram of basically what carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins all consist of. Basically, when you have carbohydrates, they're found in breads, rices, pasta, fruits, vegetables, sugars, potatoes, cereal, and milk. And as you know, carbohydrates in our body become glucose, and that's what makes our energy. And also, carbohydrate helps keep the heart, brain, and system working correctly. The best carbohydrate is the ingestible carbohydrate, which is fiber. And we know we all need fiber to regulate, keep us going to the bathroom every day, and that will also keep the weight down. Also, to continue with carbohydrates, basically, always try to keep, not eat too much of it because you can gain weight. Because if you eat too much, you get bigger, and we don't need that. We'll continue with lipids. Lipids are found in oils. Sorry, it's in the same one. Lipids are found in oils and waxes, which is your earwax. It's basically all that combined. Lipids also store all our energy. Lipids are also the basic building blocks in our cell membrane. The fats in our bodies are used as cushioned with lipids. And also, they have multiple uses. Lipids have also multiple uses in our bodies. They are also basic building blocks, like I just said, and they are broken down in the digestive tract to form fatty acids and cholesterol. Lipids. Protein. Okay, and protein. Proteins are found in meat, eggs, nuts, seeds, fish, and more. Proteins make up most of our muscles, which help with body movement. Proteins are used to make hemoglobin, which is the part in our red blood cells that carry oxygen throughout our body. Proteins are in our bones and skin, which help with our body structure. So all these are essential in our bodies, and we have to eat in moderation of each of the choices.
Okay, so problems that can occur when there's a deficiency in cholesterol, you can have depression and anxiety. So like a really good example is after you have after childbirth, usually if you have low cholesterol, that's what your birth women usually have, you can suffer from postpartum depression, which is a thing that a lot of people go through, like women after having their babies. You can have a vitamin D deficiency, and you get the cholesterol from like the sunlight and so forth that gets into your skin. And once you lose the vitamin D deficiency, you remove that from your body, so your body can't produce anymore, so you have to take medication for that. Problems that can occur if you have excess of cholesterol, you can have heart disease or a stroke. And an example is, like usually when you have like in your arteries, you know, they're really thin. Once you have high cholesterol, it's like thicker to get in through your arteries. So then it's like, you know, it's not really good for you. So just like I'm just showing this demonstration. So just saying that, you know, this straw was your artery and you're passing honey through it. Honey is like really thick, even coming down like right now. So just imagine if you're having high cholesterol, this honey going through your body, it's not even flowing right.
How difficult it would be to fully get through.
You know, and it's just like, you know, blood is supposed to flow like as if it was water in your body. So if you have high cholesterol, that's not good, you know. And then you can have insulin resistance, and if you have like a poor diet and you have high carbohydrates, the cells get overworked, and then it can stop the response of insulin, which can cause diabetes.
Okay. We're gonna talk about the remedies for fats. There are a lot of things that we can do, but I'm just gonna talk about just a few. Some of the remedies that we can do to improve the effects of certain nutrients are, you can start by eating good fats instead of bad fats, eating healthy carbs and good proteins. Carbohydrates are an essential part of our healthy diet. Just to give a couple of examples of good fats, carbs, and protein, I'd like to emphasize that some fiber-rich food. For example, they are whole fresh fruits, vegetables without added sugar. We could also choose whole grain to eat. We could also eat more beans and legumes and limit added sugar. However, fats are okay, even though we're not supposed to eat it, but there are some healthy fats. For example, we have the monosaturated and polysaturated. Some food from this category includes avocados, nuts, peanuts, peanut butter, and walnuts. Another way that we can improve the dietary effects is by exercising. as well as balancing our food, we want to exercise. If we can do both at the same time, that will, both together will help us to prevent any cardiovascular diseases and other issues. So by doing exercises at least 30 minutes daily, that can improve our health and give us like a healthy living. A little history of obesity. It was present in 550 BC. And obesity mainly stands for, it's obesity associated with having an excess of body fat defined genetically or by environmental factors. You can become obese by health conditions, the way you live, lack of sleep, stress, and pregnancy. Body mass index was a way to measure obesity. A few facts, if I may. Let's go. While U.S. obesity rates have overall stayed steady since 2003, the rates are still rising in some groups, especially Hispanics, Mexican American, and non-Hispanic whites. The non-Hispanic whites usually have a lesser percentage of being obese or overweight. Obesity affects 1/3 of the adult population in the States, which is basically 72 million Americans. And there are today 200 million Americans that are categorized as being overweight or obese. In 1960, there was only, well, it was less, but it has increased by 25% since 1960. The amount of added medical costs every year that are estimated to stem from obesity-related problems are costing $190 billion since 2013. And $14.3 billion is how much childhood obesity costs the U.S. each year, according to a published study from the Brookings Institution. This is a picture of, you'll see, this is us here, 31% obese. Of course, Korea's down here to 3%, and Hungary, Australia, 22%. But you see that mainly European and the Asian and the Japanese descent are more healthy and less obese. So we're doing something wrong. A few symptoms of obesity is osteoarthritis, heart disease, and stroke. Some effects are type 2 diabetes, which we covered earlier, high blood pressure, coronary artery disease, and heart failure.
Okay. Treating obesity. Treating obesity. Basically, by treating obesity, we have to set realistic goals for weight loss. Basically, trying to see that what your current weight is, trying to lose 5 to 10% of your weight over 6 months. That's the safest way. Do it slowly. Don't try to rush it. Don't try to do a quick diet. Focus on being physically active, healthy, balancing everything, learning to adapt to lifestyle over time will change and make you healthier from being obese.
So we're gonna end our thing short. We're just gonna show you a quick video. While we were doing our research, there's this website that I follow called Food Babe, and I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but we try to focus on eating really healthy. I mean, you can cheat here and there, but just
Hi,
watch the video.
I'm the Food Babe, food investigator, blogger, and lover of animals. For instance, the majestic beaver. Oh, don't be shy, little guy. Come here. Beavers are great friends of man. They remove pollutants from our rivers and streams with their dams and lodges, don't you, little guy? But they also flavor a ton of foods at the grocery store. Yes, you do, with your little butthole. Don't you, beaver? Your butthole. The FDA allows commercials to use virtually any natural product for creative flavor. It's Astoria, aptly called natural flavor, taken from a beaver's meat. It's far cheaper to use Astoria.
That's what's in your fries.
The flavor strawberry.
That's natural flavoring.
They don't want you to know what's in that natural flavor either. Just try to call the company and ask. They'll tell you it's proprietary. but there's nothing natural about the flavors they produce. So avoid products with natural flavors, and when you do,
So Martha, what do you have in your hand?
These are
friends and
prunes,
family,
and then these are French
and
fries.
share this video with them.
Just
And
like
let
an
them know
example,
it's
like while you're eating this,
Go to
to be like
foodbank.com and
prunes
sign up
or
for
the
it.
anal
Until next time,
glands.
I'm the food bank. I'm on your side.
So the natural flavoring is basically, as you said, beaver anal gland. So if you see that, you know that's what you're eating.
Oh, wow.
We're just gonna close your eyes
Good job.
Thank you.
Krishna, are you guys ready?
Yes.
Who can tell us from the group what you're talking about?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sajid Lassid.
Diana.
Pressure.
Merlin.
Okay, today we're gonna talk about goiter and sodium. Okay. According to so many research that we did and so many books that we read, we can say that goiter, is an abnormal enlargement of the thyroid gland. What is the thyroid gland? The thyroid gland is shaped like a butterfly. It's on lower neck, below our Adam apple. And we can say that most of the cause of goiter, the cause is iodine, as you can see here. If you have a lack of iodine in your diet, so it's a big problem. So in the USA, because we use iodine and our salt, we can say that the main problem of goiter here is lack of the thyroid hormone, which is thyroxine and triiodothyroxine. The formula is C15, H12, I3, and O4. And the thyroxine formula is C15, H11, H4, and O4. So now, let's switch to sodium. Who can tell me what is the symbol and the atomic number of sodium? Oh, great. Everybody need extra credit. Can I give the extra credit? Okay, we can say that sodium comes from the name sodamus, which is which is a Latin word, and Na, natrium, which is
Yeah, which is the symbol. And sodium was discovered in 1806 by David. I'm sorry for my pronunciation. Sodium is both electrolyte and mineral. It helps the amount of fluid inside our body cells and electrolyte balance in the body. Sodium is also important for our nerve and our muscle work. The amount of sodium in our blood is 85%. Sodium level in the body is controlled by a gland, by an hormone called aldosterone, and which is made by adrenal gland. Aldosterone level tells the kidney when to hold the sodium by the body instead of passing out to the urine. A small amount of sodium is releasing in our sweat too when we sweat. We found sodium in table salt, which is sodium chloride. Which is sodium chloride, and in baking soda, which is sodium bicarbonate. We found also sodium in some medication, like for example aspirin, and some product which is mouthwash and toothpaste. Low sodium is not common. However, for people who have low sodium, we can say that it can cause by heart failure and malnutrition and diarrhea. Sodium chloride is very important for animal nutrition. Sodium compounds are used for glass, paper, textile, and chemical, and some metal industry. Sodium is the most abundant and alkaline, and also we can say the three top countries for sodium is China, the USA, and India. So Diane is gonna talk to you.
As they were talking about carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins, they all provide energy for our body, but sodium is different. They maintain steady fluid levels throughout your system. They keep you need to keep your intake of sodium to less than 1,500 milligrams per day. Too much sodium forces your heart to work harder and to get blood to your limbs. Over time, you end up with heart disease. Goiter. Goiter is a swelling of the neck resulting from the enlargement of the thyroid gland. As you can see, that's a big goiter. When it happens is when you're not able to produce enough iodine in your body, so you end up with this. Goiter can occur when the thyroid gland produces either too much thyroid hormone, which is called hyperthyroidism, or not enough hyperthyroidism. Another type of thyroid growth called sporadic goiter can form if your diet includes too many goiter-promoting foods such as soybeans, rutabagas, cabbage, peaches, peanuts, and spinach. But remember, you have to eat a lot of them to have goiter. The thyroid hormone, by interfering with your thyroid's ability to process iodide, which is iodine salt. Before they used to use just regular iodine, but now they're starting to use the iodine salt, so now the goiter disease basically dropped in the US a lot because of the thinning process.
What is a list of food intake, the daily diet intake for goiter? Normally with low iodine, that's what associated with goiter, you will need to eat a lot of cheese, cow milk, soy milk, fish, eggs, soy sauce to get your energy. And for sodium, low sodium, which is hypothermia. So with low sodium, which is very rare for anybody to be diagnosed with hypothermia. Normally you'll see patients who have kidney problem, they'll experience that. In hypothermia, female consume excessive sodium may be at risk for osteoporosis, as the group was explaining earlier. So that will cover for the daily diet.
And signs and symptoms for goiter. You may experience weight loss, depression, low blood pressure, back aching, heart rate, diarrhea, and etc. For the sodium, you will feel mental changes, headache, vomiting, tiredness, muscle spasm, and seizure or coma. And how does it affect the body? It produces extra hormone that your body doesn't need. So therefore, it increases your heart rate and your metabolism. So it will speed up the way you will lose weight. And also it will affect your sleep pattern.
And before we move on, pop quiz. What year was sodium founded in? Can anyone answer?
1900s?
Sorry? 1807.
Yeah,
Alright, so sodium is an essential nutrient required by the body for maintaining levels of fluid and for providing channels of nerve signaling. And thus, deficiency of sodium is very. However, it can occur in people after excessive vomiting or diarrhea, in athletes who intake excessive amounts of water, or in people who regularly fast on juice and water. Over-consuming of sodium is far more common and can lead to high blood pressure, which in turn leads to an increased risk of heart attack and stroke. Whereas high sodium diets, common in modern society, may lead to water retention and hypertension. However, sodium is generally non-toxic for healthy adult individuals because it is excreted readily in the urine. And now here is Sadina.
Goiter, how is it treated? Goiter is treated with thyroid hormone replacement pills, small dose of glucose-iodine, radioactive iodine to shrink the gland, and surgery. Has it been successful? Treatments for goiters have been very successful over the years when doctors learned that adding iodine salt to your diet prevents most goiters. Prevention. Goiter can be prevented by eating foods that are rich in iodine. Foods such as seaweeds, shrimp, shellfish, fruits, vegetables are excellent sources of iodine. You should also avoid exposure to radiation and avoid certain immune suppressant and antiretroviral medications. Sodium is an element that the body needs to work properly, and it occurs naturally in most foods such as milk and water. Sodium is also added to a variety of food products such as butter, cheese, processed foods, canned soup, and some vegetables. However, too much sodium in your diet can lead to high blood pressure, as she said, heart disease, hypertension, and water retention.
Alright, now I'm going to tell everybody behind the sodium. Sodium was discovered in 1807, just like she was saying earlier. And it was first originated in soda. I believe she mentioned that as well. I'm not sure if the soda that you guys drink or not, but it was soda back in the days. Alright, it wasn't until the origin of the symbol, which you guys already know about, and until the 18th century when the distinction was made between sodium and potassium. This was because of early chemists that did not really recognize the vegetable alkali, which is potassium carbonate coming from the deposit in the earth and mineral. Alkali, also sodium carbonate, derived from wood ashes, are distinct from each other. Okay. Shortly after Humphrey discovered, then there's a scientist named Thenard Luxac. He was the one who finally get to isolate it, separate them by reducing sodium hydroxide with iron metal at high temperature.
Okay, for the conclusion, we have a short video.
had problems with the goiter, you know it can be a pain in the neck. But do you know what's behind the bulging bump?
Goiter is a general definition of an enlarged gland, and it has a lot of different causes.
The most common cause worldwide is an iodine deficiency. The thyroid concentrates iodine from the body to produce its hormone. In the absence of iodine, the body attempts to compensate. It's still an issue in undeveloped countries.
In this country, goiter cases dropped drastically in the 1920s once iodine was infused in table salt. The more common cause of goiter in the U.S. is autoimmune thyroiditis, where the body attacks itself.
The general term that applies to it is Hashimoto thyroiditis. The gland burns itself out and essentially stops functioning.
Graves' disease may also produce a goiter.
Graves' disease is a hyperactive or excessively active thyroid. It becomes enlarged, swollen, and very uncomfortable for the patient, and is treated medically very easily most of the time with either medication or radioactive iodine.
If a goiter gets so large that it constricts the airway, your doctor may recommend removal. In itself, the goiter is generally harmless.
And an enlarged gland itself is of no consequences unless, one, you have symptoms of breathing difficulty, swallowing problems, or pressure sensation, or if it's quickly enlarging to suggest that you may have something else going on, such as a tumor growing.
If you or your doctor detects a goiter, it's important to determine the cause and then respond appropriately. For Lee Memorial Health System, I'm Amy Osher.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.